Moran Children's Museum is located in Seminole. During the 20th century, Seminole was known for oil production and for high school debate champions. During the late 1920s, the Greater Seminole oil field was the largest oil field in the world, 1,800 wells, producing over 500,000 barrels of oil a day. And during the 20th century, Seminole High School was tied with a high school in Illinois for the largest number of national speech and debate championships in the country. I'm going to tell you a little about one of the Seminole High School state debate champions, Reggie Whitten. Reggie grew up with humble beginnings in Seminole. No one in his blue-collar family had ever been to college. That got the attention of Seminole State Representative, who was also teaching at Oklahoma Baptist University. The representative had been a champion debater at Seminole High School as well. He secured a debate scholarship for Reggie at Oklahoma Baptist University. The representative's name was David Boren. Without that scholarship, Reggie would have not been able to go to college and then to law school. He became a successful lawyer and litigator in Oklahoma City. Reggie married and became a father of 4. His oldest son was Brandon. Brandon was homecoming king at Westmore High School. He was a leader, a football player, an All-American kid. After high school, he played football at Southwestern State in Weatherford. Brandon's goal was to become a lawyer and work alongside his dad. One day, after taking prescription drugs, followed by alcohol, Brandon was driving with his girlfriend, and his car went off the road. Brandon was injured. His girlfriend was killed. 3 years later, around noon, Reggie received a call at his office from Brandon. Reggie's speech was slurred. Reggie immediately knew that Brandon had taken drugs, followed by alcohol. Reggie asked his son where he was, and Brandon responded he was at a certain restaurant in Edmond. Reggie hung up the phone and immediately rushed to that restaurant. Too late. Brandon had gone. After driving around that area for some time, Reggie headed home, and he drove upon a crash scene. Brandon had taken Reggie's motorcycle and crashed it into a brick mailbox. Brandon died before reaching the hospital. He was 25 years old. After that, Reggie was described as a walking dead man. Reggie realized what he should do and what he would do. He would tell Brandon's story to young people, to everyone who would listen. Reggie used to think that drug addicts were bad people, but he learned that drugs change the chemistry in people's brains and makes good people do bad things. Reggie and Rochelle have now told Brandon's story to hundreds of groups, including classes in 70 high schools and counting. They have told the story to everyone who would agree to listen, and Reggie intends to tell this story for the rest of his life. I remember when Reggie and Rochelle brought Brandon's story to Seminole High School. I attended. They spoke in the high school auditorium and gave a slide presentation to the entire junior and senior classes. They told the students about Brandon's life, his aspirations, and how their family loved their wonderful son. They also told the story of his drug addiction and his death. Reggie and Rochelle passed out pledge cards to every student, and they asked the students to sign the cards, pledging not to take drugs or alcohol the night of their prom. The signed pledge cards were placed in a container, and the winning card was drawn out. On the night of the prom, the winner and 7 of his or her friends would be picked up and taken to and from the prom by chauffeur's limousine. Reggie undoubtedly will continue to tell Brandon's story for the rest of his life. There's no telling how many lives Reggie has saved and how many he will save, and how many families will not have to endure the sorrow the Whitten family has endured. Thank you, Reggie, and God bless you.
You should learn in Speech 101, never follow Melvin Moran. Reggie's been a great friend of the Children's Museum for a long, long time, having donated money for the Kim Henry Science Wing, for the gigantic dinosaur, and I can't pronounce the name of it. I can't even say the name of it, out in front as you enter the Children's Museum, and many other things. And those things resulted in Reggie and his foundation being given the Benefactor Award many years ago, and that's listed in your program. Melvin talked about Reggie's son and his story. 6 months after Brandon's death, a friend talked Reggie into going to what was then war-torn Uganda, where he met a nun who was helping refugee children, young girls, and teaching them vocational skills. Reggie said that it became a passion of his and almost a type of therapy to help Sister Rosemary as she stood up to a guy named Joseph Kony and the so-called Lord's Resistance Army. Reggie co-founded a group called Pros for Africa, as well as the Sowing Hope Foundation, which serve as the primary supporters for the St. Monica School for Girls in northern Uganda and the South Sudan. Pros for Africa takes this group food, clothing, doctors, medicine, teachers, anything that they need, they provide. But it's always Sister Rosemary who provides the cement for the foundation for St. Monica's School for Girls. Now we're talking about a lady who had a machine gun stuck point blank in her face and was told by one of these outlaws, "Give me that girl." They wanted to take that young girl as their wife. And with nothing on but her cross, she said, "No, you can't have her." We're very honored tonight to have with us Sister Rosemary Sister Rosemary, I apologize if I mispronounced her name, Narumbe. She's a CNN Heroes Award winner and one of Time Magazine's 100 Persons of the Year in 2014. And I would like to ask Sister Rosemary to please stand and let us recognize her for all the good that she's done in this world. Reggie has described himself as an ordinary guy who thinks like the common person thinks. And he and his law firm have used that honest, straightforward style to win and win big. In landmark suits against insurance companies, energy drink producers, and most recently against big pharmaceutical companies, Reggie and his firm have stood their ground for common people who are being cheated, addicted, and in fact killed. In an unprecedented two unprecedented landmark cases representing the Choctaw and Chickasaw nations against the U.S. government, Reggie and his firm reaffirmed the treaty rights of those nations in relation to both water and forestry. These lawsuits are important in many ways, but including providing funding to those tribes, which they now use to help preserve their history, culture, and values, which again is an example of Reggie's far-reaching humanitarian effects. I want to quickly list for you a few of the honors and awards that Reggie has received. He was inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame in 2013, which is the highest honor that can be bestowed upon an Oklahoman. He was inducted into the Oklahoma College of Law Hall of Fame, called the Order of the Owl, in 2015, and OU has also given him an honorary doctoral degree, the Seed Sower Award, and the Regents Award for his significant contributions to that university. The educational programs that Melvin described are called FATE, Fighting Addiction Through Education, and they have presented to more than 20,000 students. He's the co-founder of Arcadia Trails Center for Addiction and Recovery in Edmond, and one of the driving forces behind the creation of Oklahoma State University's Center for Wellness and Recovery. In partnership with East Central University and its former president, John Hargrave, our friend, and he couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, Reggie launched the Brandon Whitten Institute for Addiction and Recovery on the campus of East Central University. He founded Explorology, which is a program at the Sam Noble, Oklahoma Museum for Natural History, and over 50,000 people have used the educational programs provided through that program, which also include going out to the panhandle of Oklahoma and digging for dinosaurs. He co-founded a program called Native Explorers, which is kind of the same thing except for Native American students. Reggie has co-authored 2 books, What's Your Fate and Sowing Hope, and has co-produced 3 documentaries, including Oklahoma's Fallen, Sowing Hope, and Killing Pain. He is a fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers, which is a group that represents the top 1% of all of the trial lawyers in the United States and Canada. He's received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Oklahoma Citizen Advocates for Recovery and Treatment Addiction. Now, unfortunately, Reggie recently has had some surgery and had complications from that, and he's not able to come up to the stage today. And so...
No, I'm coming up.
You coming up? All right, well, come on. I'll introduce him in just a second. Let me say this while he's making his way up here. As I bring my introduction to a close, I wanted to say thank you to Jeff Hargrave and to Rochelle, Reggie's wife, for helping us get him here and for keeping this a secret from him. Ladies and gentlemen, for his work in Uganda with Sister Rosemary, helping to save countless lives. His law firm's work with tribal nations, certifying and restoring their rights taken away by the U.S. government. For his dedication to the treatment of addiction. For his groundbreaking work fighting the opioid epidemic. And for his ongoing support of philanthropic efforts throughout the world. It's my honor to present the first ever Melvin Moran Humanitarian Award to a most deserving honoree, Mr. Reggie Whitten.
Thank you. So they told me to come and honor my friend Jane Giroux tonight, which I'm very proud to do. So this is a little bit of a sneak attack, but I'm very humbled. I had someone tell me one time, if you see a turtle sitting on a fence post, you should ask immediately, how did that turtle get up there? It was my friend Andy Coates. I stole that line from him. But seriously, that turtle had to get a lift up there. And my whole life I've been so blessed. I've had some bad things happen, but I choose to look at it that my cup is more than half full. I'm so blessed to have been born in Seminole. I'm so blessed to have known the Moran family. I got to debate with their 2 daughters, and I learned so much from Marilyn and Lisa. I've known Melvin and Jasmine my whole life. And I'm so fortunate that I'm from Seminole, and I'm so fortunate David Bourne got me a scholarship, because I never would have been able to go to college. I got to lift up just like that turtle, and I've never forgotten that. And education is the key. I don't think our country appropriately invests in teachers and education. That's the best thing that ever happened to me, is I got a great education in Seminole. And by the time I graduated from Seminole, Seminole had won more national championships in debate than any high school in the United States of America. And I learned things in the 8th grade debate program that I used in the opioid case that we just got through finished trying. And that's the truth. So my life has been one full of blessings. My kids are here tonight. Got one of my grandkids here tonight. John Hargrave, my dear friend, I thank him. I thank Sister Rosemary. And I thank my lovely wife for helping save my life all those years ago and supporting me all these years. And I just want to say this, the Children's Museum, the reason we donated a dinosaur to the museum was to help capture the imagination of these kids, because it did me. I was fascinated with dinosaurs as a kid. I was either going to be a lawyer or a scientist, and I don't think I was smart enough to be a scientist, so I went the other route. But we're trying to stimulate the kids' interest in science, and thus the Kim Henry Science Wing. And that's what we like to do. We like to give kids a leg up. And so there is no museum like this museum. I've been to the Chicago Children's Museum with Melvin and Jasmine, and I've been to the Dallas Children's Museum, and it doesn't hold a candle to the Jasmine Moran Children's Museum in Seminole, Oklahoma. How about that? So, thank you, Melvin. Thank you, Dr. Upback. And a special thanks to my superwoman, Jasmine Moran. Thank you all for supporting the museum.